Why do we fear death? Why are we afraid of our own non-existence? First of all, death is the fear. Death is the only fear we have. All fears lead back to death. Afraid of heights. What you're afraid of is falling and dying. Afraid of spiders. It could bite you and you'll die. Afraid of public speaking. Well, you're afraid of doing something wrong, disgracing yourself, being expelled from the community, which for ancient humans meant death, most certainly. Death is the ultimate fear. Seen this way, fear of death is redundant. Fear is the emotion of facing the possibility of death, or the certainty of it, because at some point it will happen. This emotion is so fundamental, almost every living being experiences it. We experience it from the day we were born. But fear is also the driving force of life. It is what motivates anything, not wanting to die. But why is it scary? What gives death its intrinsic negativity? Well, first of all, in all of our lifetime, we can ever only experience the death of others. The typical emotional reaction to this is sadness and grief. But if you think about it, sadness is evolutionary, a higher order emotion, a social emotion. Most animals don't appear to experience grief. There are exceptions like elephants, apes and dogs, but the vast majority does not. But fear is universal. Our evolutionary predecessors, as well as most animals, might not even understand the concept of death, and therefore don't experience sadness. But let's look at the information that they have. Pain. Pain is inherently negative across all living beings. If you look at this relationship, the closer you are to death, the more pain you will experience, at least in the wild. Of course, with painkillers and modern medicine, this is not necessarily the case for modern humans, but in our past, in the brutal reality of nature, you're most likely to die bleeding out or being eaten alive. You see, slightly cutting your fingers when cooking hurts a little bit but won't kill you. Breaking an arm hurts a lot more and is a bigger injury, putting you, in the wild, at a greater risk of death. Generally, this is what the road to death looks like, and even if you have no concept of death, this is what you will experience. The journey towards it will be increasingly painful. Looking at this relationship, it's of course only what we can ever experience. We don't know what comes after, if anything. Does the pain continue to go up? Something humans imagined like hell to be? Or does it fall down? No pain? Like in heaven maybe? We can't know. It's probably nothing. But it is impossible to imagine your own non-existence. It's a paradox. You were dead before you were born, but looking back it feels like you have always existed, because in a way you have. Epicurus said, when we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we no longer exist. Sounds circular, but you can imagine being dead only by imagining yourself as some kind of observer. We can imagine funerals, darkness, silence, empty space, but all of those still contain an observing subject. But if you are observing anything, you still exist. Therefore, death itself can never become an experienced state. Imagine a movie filmed from a first-person camera perspective. How does the film depict the destruction of the camera itself? The moment the camera is destroyed, the perspective disappears, but there's no internal depiction of the disappearance. The recording simply ceases. This is why consciousness cannot internally represent its own termination. Death is the horizon beyond which thought cannot go. So, fear, or in other words, the fear of death, is a basic biological function and ingrained in our psyche. So the next question is, should you fear death? But this is the topic for the next video. If you've liked this one, leave a like and your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.